We've done 5 videos now together, most notably like Constance, Hurt You, and Blessed Be. And to me, they're just like the perfect band to work with. Not only is it really cool that they've like exploded and they're like the biggest thing right now, but it's just really inspiring to see like how their minds work, and like they let me creatively have a lot of freedom. Yeah, so I've been a music video director for, I don't know, 6 or 7 years. I've always wanted to transition towards like narrative work. I want to direct feature films eventually, and I've had this idea for 6 years now. One thing that made me really want to pursue it is I did a music video called Constance for Spiritbox, and it was super personal about my family. And the response to it was super, super overwhelmingly positive. And since then, I was like, okay, like channel the most like vulnerable, raw, real stuff in your life. And one thing I've been thinking about a lot is my relationship with my brothers. As a teenager growing up in like the Myspace punk emo scene, my brothers were in a metalcore band, and my dream wasn't for myself to become a filmmaker at that time. My dream was for them to become like the next The Devil Wears Prada. And I did whatever I could to like be a part of what they were doing. So both of my brothers were in this band, and I was the one brother that wasn't. And I kind of made myself a part of the band with my like camcorder. I would go to all their shows and film them. I'd be like on their MySpace sending people messages about their band and stuff. I'd tell all my friends in high school about their band, and my whole life was kind of absorbed by their band. And one of the saddest moments in my teenage years or young adult years was watching their band kind of fall apart. And so this dream I had for them just wasn't the reality. And I thought, like, I've never seen that in a movie before. And it also was very personal for me that I feel like, oh, not only is this something I've never seen before, but I think it could be a really compelling story about like brotherhood and this idea of growing up. Like, my character, who's based on me, needs to learn to be his own person because he's based his whole life on kind of his brothers, and he's going through the MySpace emo punk scene, and he's trying to figure out who he is, what's his identity, along with his friend who's also struggling with her identity. And then the brothers realizing that you can't make a living off of playing to 100 to 200 kids in your local scene for the rest of your life, and that they need to kind of grow up and move on because the dream's not happening for them. And so it's all about that. It's about growing up. It's a coming of age film, but it's also set in the mid 2000s when like the internet felt like it was about connection, and MySpace was about music and discovery, and we've never seen that on screen before. So I really want to capture it in an authentic way. So that's what I'm going for with the short film that we just funded on Kickstarter, and then the goal is to pitch the short film for a feature film. Kind of what my short film is about was like, I was obsessed with my brother's band and the scene and stuff, and I was always there with the camera. And eventually other bands would tour my city, and they would hand me a camera or ask me to film them. And Mike Stringer from Spiritbox, his old band, was one of the bands that like I would start filming at their shows when they would tour in their band called Fallen Archaea. And so I've known him for a very long time. And when they were coming up with Spiritbox, this new project, I was so excited about it. And I reached out to them, and it seemed like a perfect fit because I had started my production company not too much earlier than they were starting their band. And we've done 5 videos now together, most notably like Constance, Hurt You, and Blessed Be. And to me, they're just like the perfect band to work with. Not only is it really cool that they've like exploded and they're like the biggest thing right now, but it's just really inspiring to see like how their minds work, and like they let me creatively have a lot of freedom. It's not like they're like, oh, this is exactly what you have to do. They're very open to my creative process and like my voice and stuff, and that's been just such a good collaboration. Like Constance was a very special project. Like when they sent it to me, it was just a demo, just an instrumental, and they asked me like, if you could do anything, what would you do? And my grandma at the time was going through dementia, and I was having a hard time processing it. And I was like, wow, this song's really sad. I've always wanted to do like a short film processing how I feel about my grandma going through dementia. And they were like, oh man, like we love it. And Courtney related because her grandma passed away during COVID. And then the song started being influenced by the concept. And then my concept started being influenced more by the song. And they kind of like both created each other. And that's what's so special about working with Spiritbox is like most bands wouldn't take that risk. Even to make just like a sad story video is like a pretty big risk for a metal band of their kind, but they've just been so open. They named the song after my grandma. Her name was Constance. And yeah, it's been such a special opportunity. They've been like my pride and joy to work with them, and I feel very lucky. And if anyone deserves all the success they're getting, it's them, because they've been working at it for 10, 15 years nonstop with their old bands, and it was bound to happen because the people who make it are the people who just like don't give up. Also, I did a music video for one of my favorite bands from that time, Census Fail, last fall. And when they reached out to me, I was like, oh man, like I can't believe that this band that I idolized like reached out to me and stuff. And their song was a perfect fit for making almost the baby version of this film. So I pitched them this concept that was like, oh, these teens, and it feels like the mid 2000s, and they're just getting into trouble, and it's about growing up. And so I made this 3-minute music video, and making it was like one of the greatest experiences of my life because it was like hanging out with old friends. It really brought me back to my teenage years, and people really took to that video and stuff. So from that production, I was like, okay, I'm making my first short film, and it's about this is happening. And yeah, those were like the two deciding factors of like, this needs to happen, this is the right path for me. So casting is one of the big next steps. We're hoping to start production for the short film in September. So now that it's like, okay, we're funded, we actually have money to make this thing, and there's an audience for it and stuff, like there was a lot of excitement for our campaign. Now it's like, okay, we have our crew, people are starting to work on it. We were developing it a little bit already, but now it's like, it's go time. We have 3 months to get to production. We're going to be casting hundreds of extras, quite a big lead cast. It's a 30 to 40 minute film, so it's quite ambitious, and a lot of it takes place at like underground shows from the mid 2000s. Yeah, it's just like making the thing now. Now we knew what we were making. We needed to find an audience and the financing for it, and now it's just like showing up, making the thing, and we're going to be doing that from, well, production in September, but the final product should be done next spring, hoping for April.